toxic masculinity.
USPS, U.S. Postal Service, is monitoring Americans' social media accounts in a covert operation. So I think probably most of you guys have heard about this already. This is a pretty disturbing thing that we're seeing here right now. Let's go ahead and read this, though. This is from the Daily Caller. The U.S. Postal Service's Law Enforcement Division is running a covert operation tracking and collecting Americans' social media posts, Yahoo News reported. The Postal Service's Internet Covert Operations Program monitors social media accounts for inflammatory posts and protest plans, according to an Internet document obtained by Yahoo News. The U.S. Postal Service investigated Parler and Telegram accounts that reference protests that were supposed to occur on March 20th for the so-called International Day of Protests, the document showed. Analysts with the U.S. Postal Service United States Postal Inspection Service Internet Covert Operations Program, good Lord, that's quite a title there, monitored significant activity regarding planned protests occurring internationally and domestically on March 20th, 2021. What happened on March 20th? I don't even remember anything happening on March 20th. Do you guys know what they're talking about? I don't even know what they're talking about. All right. An international government memo said, according to Yahoo, locations and times have been identified for these protests, which are being distributed online across multiple... I don't know what they're talking about. Multiple social media platforms, including right-wing leaning Parler and Telegram accounts, the document said, according to Yahoo. The document didn't explain why the USPS was engaged in alleged covert surveillance operations monitoring American citizens' protest activities. The Postal Service said that ICOP is part of the broader effort to assess threats postal workers face during using public information, according to Yahoo. Okay, so any protests are of particular danger to postal workers now, apparently. I don't know why they're monitoring conservatives specifically. Hey, buddy. Hey, you do know I'm live, right? Okay, can we skedaddle? Go on. Okay. All right, we'll just leave him there. Let's see here. Oh gosh. Yeah, I don't like why are conservative protests so much more dangerous to postal workers than Black Lives Matter protests or Antifa protests? I would think that they would be far more dangerous than conservative protests, because how often do we burn buildings down? How often do we murder people? Come on, man. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I don't think that we're the real dangers in society. My buddy Kurt and I had this joke. I mentioned this on the show the other day. We had this sketch that we wanted to do where, like, some Asian guys working in a store, because they keep saying these white supremacists are, like, hurting all the Asians. We all hate the Asians because because Trump called it the Chinese virus, right? Hey, come on, enough of that. Trump called it the Chinese virus, so we all hate Asians now, apparently. And so we thought it would be funny to have a sketch where some Asian dude is working at a store, and a guy in a Trump hat comes in, and he's like, "No, don't hurt me. And then some black guy comes in, he's like, "Oh, thank God, you got to protect me from this Trump supporter." We thought that'd be quite funny. We had an ending for it, and it's a good idea. We might shoot it. Who knows? Let's see here. Just because it's so absurd. Nobody sees a Trump supporter and gets scared. Trump supporters aren't dangerous people. All right, let's see here. Civil liberties experts say the operation is a mystery and question the legality of the activity, according to Yahoo. University of Chicago law professor Jeffrey Stone, who worked on national security issues during former President Barack Obama's administration, said he didn't understand how such an operation would be under the USPS's purview, according to Yahoo. This seems a little bizarre, Richard Levinson Waldman, deputy director of the Brennan Center for Justice's Liberty and National Security Program, told Yahoo. Based on the very minimal information that's available online, it appears that it's meant to root out misuse of the postal system by online actors, which doesn't seem to encompass what's going on here. Yeah, no, that's not what's going on here at all. It's not at all clear why their mandate would include monitoring of social media that's unrelated to the use of the postal system, Levinson Waldman told Yahoo. She argued that Rachel. Did I say her name correctly at the beginning? I don't know. She added that the government monitoring U.S. citizens' protected speech raises serious constitutional concerns. Meanwhile, the USPS has faced significant financial issues over the past decade. The USPS lost $69 billion between 2007 and 2018, according to a 2020 government accountability. You know what this might be? I mean, I don't know. I really don't know why they're doing this, why the USPS is doing this. But it might be something like, it might be something like the different intelligence services are working together through Homeland Security. And maybe the USPS is finding that this is a really underused intelligence service, right? Because how many people are going online and then talking about mail fraud, right? I mean, they probably have nothing to do. So Homeland Security or somebody probably was like, okay, well, why don't we set up why doesn't your division do this? Because this is more helpful to us, right? Which I don't know if I care that much about that. I don't know if I care about them doing stuff that maybe the FBI should be doing or something like that. I don't think I care. But what does bother me is the idea that they're spying on Americans. And yes, I know it's public information, but keeping tabs on ordinary Americans who aren't doing anything wrong, like, I don't really understand this concept that the federal government has. I mean, even though these people are Democrats, I don't understand why they're fixated on this idea that, like, Trump supporters are violent. They're obsessed with this idea that we're going to somehow go around, murdering everybody and burning everything down. It's like, over the past year, haven't you seen who does that? I mean, you can come on my show, you can watch my show, right? You can go turn on YouTube, open your computer, open your phone up, find the YouTube app, click on Mr. Reagan, click on Toxic Masculinity, and you'll see what a Trump supporter is like, right? I mean, you could there's a lot of people like me on YouTube. We talk about this stuff. We interview Trump supporters. We talk about all this stuff all the time. And we're not violent people. We're not trying to kill anybody. We're not trying to hurt anybody. But there is this bizarre myth on the left that we're all these, like, violent rednecks with shotguns and we're going to come to their house and we're going to kill them all. It's the weirdest thing. It's like this weird fantasy that they all have. And the trouble with these kinds of fantasies, having a fantasy isn't a bad thing. Living in a sort of dream world isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, lots of people do it. It's fine, whatever. They can do whatever they want with their lives. But it becomes an absolutely horrifying thing when public officials are creating public policy based on these fantasy ideas, right? It's sort of like it's the same kind of fantasy idea that there's all these unarmed black men being killed by police. That's just not true. If you look at the statistics, it's just not true. It's just not true. There are more white people that are killed per encounter with police than black people. If you have 100 white people who commit crimes and encounter police during the execution of their criminal activity, and you have 10 or 100 black men and they encounter police while in the process of committing crime, more of those white men will be killed than those black men. More of the white men will be killed. That indicates a bias against white people, not a bias against black people. Now, the left will say, oh, but more black people are killed, per capita. According to the population of black people, there's a higher percentage of black men that are killed than white men, according to the population of white men, as a percentage of their population. That's because black men just commit more crimes as a group. As a demographic group, they commit more crimes. So it's a matter of looking at the data in a particular way. And the most fair way to look at the data is you take the number of people committing crimes and interacting with police versus the number of people committing crimes interacting with police, and you say what percentage of them are shot by police. And what you find is that the white people are killed more often, not the black people. If you are a white guy and you are stopped by police, you're the one that needs to be scared, not the black guy. The black guy doesn't need to be scared because he has a much lower chance, actually, of being shot by police. He has a much higher chance of being stopped by police, though, because black people tend to commit a lot more crime. But if you are stopped and you're white, You need to be a little bit careful. We're the ones that need to be careful, not black men. We need to be careful. Black people should just try not to get stopped in the first place. But if you're a white guy and you get stopped, you need to worry. You need to be very, very careful. Be on your guard. All right, let us move on to the next story. What do we got here? All right, number 3. Michigan Democrats refuse to certify the Unlock Michigan petition. All right, now this is really weird. So in Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer has obviously locked down the state tighter than almost anywhere else. I think it's maybe the worst lockdowns, except for maybe California and New York. California is still pretty bad, but I don't know how bad it is in Michigan. But she notoriously was pretty hardcore about locking down the state, except for her husband, who can go boating or do whatever the hell he wants because his wife is the governor. So anyway, a bunch of citizens went around and they gathered signatures on a petition. And, you have to have this board of canvassers. Anytime there's a petition, they have to sign off on the petition and that will certify it, which they are required to do basically, by the way, by law. They're required to certify this. And they're not doing so. And this is illegal, what they're doing. And the only explanation is that it is political. And this goes to show that Democrats do not care about the law. Democrats do not care about a fair and just American system. Democrats care about power. And they care about control. And they care about their Democrat activist positions. And that's it. So let's have a look at this story. Toxic Masculinity. Weekdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.